Is this supposed to be red? I think I may have done something then.
Jersey, do they know that there's a meeting at 5? Did you tell them?
Save for me for Sunday.
Okay, let me,
Sunday.
can you just write that down?
Yep.
Monday.
It like fell off.
I think I should know.
Oh, you have plans?
I actually
Okay,
did.
I guess
We
I
have a
changed
short
the
council
code.
meeting, unless you.
Yeah, we have a
do
short-
I have
whatever.
business to take care of.
Yeah, I'm sure council.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, there's only like 40 items. Well, it depends. No.
So there were two. Yeah, there's two handouts.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We have Christine joining us.
I brought that single page for
remember.
municipal officials, for county officials, and a thing of handouts.
Remember,
But my desk is
This is a
full.
little more salesy.
5 o'clock is 5 o'clock.
Listen.
Yes. What?
I'm not gonna say no,
No, just something else.
because I just had to say, listen, where's your committee? Do you wanna adopt me? I'll be
You
on.
you saved the paper. But you gotta turn it over, most people read. Oh, what's the name?
Oh, wait, no.
One for presentation, for one for discussion.
Mark Hartley has to explain the life. So you remember they had the show on,
So you're gonna stay.
Nickelodeon where it explains it all? It's like gonna be Mark Hartley explains it all, because he has to explain everything. No, it's not that page, this is Barbara. Thank you. It's very kind.
We're only on agenda item 3.1.
Whenever you want to call to order.
Thank you, sir.
You have the best interest at heart.
Well, I'm gonna generate money for the volunteers. We're gonna bring, we're looking at 20 grand.
Oh, that's fabulous. Yeah, from the foundation, to use for what?
We are a 501c3.
Great.
Okay, everyone. Good afternoon. We would like to call the Economic Development Committee meeting to order. And if there's anyone from the public that would like to speak, now is the time. I know we also have some other folks on the agenda to speak. Seeing none, I would like to call attention to the Economic Development Department, and if they want to introduce our guests. Mr. Hartney.
All right. Good evening. DCD, on behalf of County Executive McClure, is excited to bring this economic development opportunity to you. We've been working with the Sustainable Energy Fund to vet the CPACE program, and we think it has the opportunity to really help Northampton County businesses and commercial properties. We've invited the Sustainable Energy Fund here tonight as the experts on this program to give you a broader overview, and if you decide that you want to move forward with this, we anticipate a resolution. There are some things that County Council needs to do to adopt this program, and then we would look to do that once the guidelines are finalized at the state level. But let me introduce the Sustainable Energy Fund. John Koslow, President and CEO, is here to give you a presentation. You come on up, John. Oh, Holly's going to do. Oh, excuse me. So Holly Edinger from the Sustainable Energy Fund is going to be here too.
Are you related to Jim?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
My husband's Edinger, from Jersey.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi. Thank you for the time tonight to talk to you all about this program.
If you could just introduce your name again. I know they introduced you, but
Yep.
for the record.
Holly Edinger with the Sustainable Energy Fund, which is in Schnecksville, Pennsylvania. I'm not a resident of Northampton County. I'm a resident of Lehigh County. So we're here to talk about the Property Assessed Clean Energy Program, which was passed by the state legislature in the summer last year. And at that time, Pennsylvania was the 33rd state to pass legislation on this program. And it really is there to help enable clean energy and renewable energy projects. And in Pennsylvania, it's very focused on commercial properties. That includes manufacturing facilities and farms. So it's a tool for property owners to retrofit their buildings to be more energy efficient, or to add renewable energy projects to their property, or to do projects that conserve water. This little add-on in Pennsylvania was water conservation. The way the legislature did this was they kind of passed a law that said local governments may adopt a CPACE program, and they left a lot of the details up to the local government. They said counties or municipalities that have a community or economic development department, and so we feel like with 67 counties, that's plenty of folks to get on board without trying to get 2,600 separate local governments up to speed. The program really is a loan program with a tool where the loan gets repaid on the property tax bill. So it's completely voluntary for a property owner. I should have advanced that. The property owner would identify what improvements they want to do to their project. They would even identify who they want to borrow the money to. There would be an agreement in place that the payment of the loan would be put on their county tax bill. That's basically what happens. The advantage to this is, have you guys, has Northampton County done any energy improvements yourself through power purchase agreements or energy savings agreements, or GIZA? So a lot of local governments have done this kind of work because the lender knows you're going to own the asset for more than 20 years, so they're happy to sign a long-term agreement. Private property owners don't have that same luxury, and so this program also allows the loan to be tied to the property. So if a property owner sells their property, the payment stays with the property until it's paid off. Because the improvement to the building and the renewable energy asset stays with the building as well. It's all private money, I mentioned that, and the assessment or the payments don't accelerate. So they always stay the same for the term of the loan. Kind of another key thing. In Pennsylvania, they made a very clear exception in legislation, no multi-family housing, so no apartment buildings, things like that. So I talked about this a little bit as kind of how a project would unfold, where the property owner identifies the work they want to do. And then there's an application process, and that's where the guidelines that Mark mentioned would come into play. You, as the local government, would approve and establish what those program guidelines are. And there's a little bit in the legislation about what that should include, but not a lot of details. And then once it meets the approval process, then you move towards closing and an agreement. So the program administration piece and what that program guideline looks like is actually where we stepped in as a nonprofit. So for 20 years, our organization's been doing commercial lending for energy. And so we felt like we had a good experience to kind of help move this forward statewide. As the 33rd state, we got a lot of advice on what not to do. One thing they said not to do, which is happening in Virginia and some other places, is to have different rules in every jurisdiction. Because the developers and the lenders that work on these projects definitely work across municipal lines. So we wanted to, as a nonprofit, wanted to make sure there was kind of a uniform set of guidelines that would help us maximize investment in the state. I should mention nationally, this is already about a $750 million program. And that's just in the past 5 years that's really gotten going.
Can I interrupt you for 1 second?
Please.
When you said intermixing the rules, now each county can adopt their own, or are you going down into the municipal levels?
Yeah.
So you got 67 counties, they can adopt their own, but you don't really want it to go into the municipalities within the counties.
Yeah, but
okay.
each municipality could adopt their own program as well.
Right.
What we're trying to do is have all 67 counties adopt pretty much the same program
Okay.
guidelines.
All right.
And, yeah.
Sure.
So you want us to put the resolution forward, and it's not an ordinance, it's a resolution, and then each municipality adopts an ordinance?
No, with your resolution, there would be program guidelines that you would adopt as well. And it would be the county's program with county program guidelines and county collection.
Doesn't that step on municipal zoning?
So the projects all have to meet municipal zoning. They have to meet the zoning code within the municipality they're in. There's a notification requirement for the county to notify the municipalities before you vote on it. And actually what we're doing in Lehigh County is we're speaking at the COG meeting at the end of this month to get the local governments kind of up to speed on what the program is. But at that point, they would know it's available for their property owners, but it will be managed really at the county level.
So a municipality could hold up a project with zoning, they didn't really.
Yeah, they do that in. They could also petition the county to exempt them from the program. So the county sets a district. So if for some reason, one of your municipalities was really, it's no additional paperwork on their end, but if they wanted to be exempt, the county could set a district that excludes a certain municipality if they really were resistant. But the way we're proposing it is that the administrative work would kind of be through the county tax office. So the municipality wouldn't have much.
And the municipality wouldn't collect any of that portion because we would be holding the loan.
No, you'd just kind of be the pass-through.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, so the county collects it and then remits it to the lender or to the program administrator who remits it to the
What's the
lender.
consequence to the county if the person does not pay the loan? Is the county then on the hook for that money?
No. It would be like any other delinquent tax payment at the county level. The property owner and the property would be responsible.
Which I think they're used to dealing with anyway on a question on the, are you done? Okay. One thing you cover, well, just for now, the manufacturing part of this, is that it, only manufacturing? Or is that, I know you said no apartments,
No
right?
apartment. Retail
Okay.
is eligible. Office buildings, manufacturing buildings, warehouses. If one of these big warehouses wanted to put solar panels on the roof, they could finance it through this program, which would give them 20-year financing. Which this example, I think, for me, I'm an examples person. I like give me some good examples. So this project is really great because they spent $145,000 to put the solar panels on the building, and they're financing it over 20 years, and each year they're paying $11,900 on the payment for the loan, but they're saving $20,000 a year on their electric bill.
Wow.
So they're immediately cash flow positive.
But we already went over this.
We
You
did
and I
go over
did.
this, and I don't
You
have a
know
better
that that's
example
not a
yet.
good example, because that example is in Connecticut, and the per kilowatt rate is 15 cents, and in Pennsylvania it's 8 cents.
Yeah.
So they're not really making $20,000; they're making $5,000.
Yeah,
So
yeah. The
I
numbers
mean,
in Pennsylvania
there
are
is
a little
some-
different.
yeah, so the savings in Pennsylvania are a lot lower than what you're promoting in that example. Do you know what I mean? So if we're comparing apples to apples and we're trying to promote this to municipalities as a means to save, I mean, we all know that you just gotta want it. You gotta want sustainability, you gotta want solar, you gotta want hydro, you gotta want wind. You're not gonna save a whole lot of money. It might be a long-term deal, but even the rates that you were offering were quite high.
Right, but it is a 20-year term, and most lenders won't loan for that long.
No, and I mean, there are
And so
there's good and bad.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just saying,
Yeah.
so I'm not being critical, I'm just trying to be accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
More likely what we're going to see with this program initially in Pennsylvania, because our electric rates are low, is really lighting retrofits, replacements of HVAC systems, replacements of furnaces and boilers in commercial buildings, where they're probably, if you go to the last page, which is, 86% of the commercial buildings in Lehigh County are over 30 years old. So mechanical systems that are coming of age and are going to need to be replaced, that are more energy efficient, are going to be kind of your low-hanging fruit on this program. But it's still a huge benefit to the property owner.
Hey, may I ask a question?
Sure.
This may be totally off, and just say, I don't know, or doesn't make sense to me, and I'll be fine. Since we're having a lot of new construction in Northampton County as opposed to Lehigh County, are municipalities in a position where when they put together their zoning, developers come in and promote these massive warehouses, where they could demand that, for example, solar is put on the roof? I mean, we've got lots and lots of roof space that's nothing but black or white. Are they exceeding their, I mean, I know, I'm talking pre-lawyers jumping in.
Yeah.
But, I mean, is this something they could write
I mean, a
up?
local zoning code, you could put a zoning overlay there's many kind of zoning overlays in different districts that put additional restrictions on.
I know we can't, but I'm just wondering, let's say Williams Township, since
Yeah.
Mr. Cusick isn't here, so I'll
Yeah.
pick on Williams Township. Williams Township passes a resolution or a law, whatever they're going to pass that says, if you want to build here, you can build here, but if you have X amount of square footage, over that, you have to put an alternative, you have to plug into an alternative energy source, or at least provide. Part of it is, for example, we want solar panels. Is that something that they could do?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know Pennsylvania zoning code that well.
Well, I have a feeling our council energy czar has
I'd
an
like to say
answer
that would
to
be
that.
great.
I'm not saying that I know the zoning code, but.
Hey, you're our energy czar.
What I
You know a lot.
do understand is that an ordinance would probably have to be enacted in the individual municipality.
Yeah.
And if they did that, builders would have to build to a certain grade. Like right now, the reason why you can't retrofit certain buildings is because construction meets a certain standard. If they don't have to accept the snow load from panels and scaffold and the wrapping system that's going to be on the roof, they're not going to build it to that parameter or that level, right?
Right.
So you would have to retrofit that stuff on and fortify that roof, and that's where this loan would come in, because you could do that with this loan. It would just be a little expensive. Now, if you wanted to do that off the get-go, then all of a sudden, you're asking anybody who wants to build in your municipality to pay more for their building and then also solarize it. When, I think it's a great idea, but the cost is going to be made back over time, and their investment is going to be much higher up front. So, I think that would be a heavy lift to ask municipalities, even though I'm all for it, right?
I think Becky Bradley would totally be able to answer that question about.
That's
the
fine.
local
I
zoning code.
appreciate both of you weighing in. Thank you very much.
I'm all about it.
You're the expert. I'm not. Thank you.
Yeah. So just to bring you up to speed, we mentioned the program guidelines, and we kind of have gone through a pretty rigorous process to put together a set of program guidelines that had a lot of public input. We hired an outside consultant who's done work in about 4 or 5 other states to help us write those guidelines. We had 3 stakeholder meetings, about 125 people involved in that process, put them out for public comment, received comment from about 30 different individuals and organizations, which was about 300 comments, which was a lot to get through. And we are just about done with them and have them finalized probably in the next week or so that if you wanted to move forward with resolution, you would have those program guidelines to work from. And we're putting together an executive summary of them. That's kind of like the big piece, because it lays out the rules. How do you handle new construction? What are the parameters? How much energy savings are you going to require? What's the parameters for these projects? So, yeah.
Oh, you have a question? Oh, go ahead.
So when a builder wants to come in and retrofit their building for an energy, something, they would get a 30% tax credit, and if they were doing solar or something, they would get solar renewable energy credits. Who owns those then?
The property.
So the property owner still gets to take those off of the system. And is the loan structured such that they would pay the 30% to you at the same interest rate, or is there anything, like sometimes solar loans or things like that are partitioned off 30 and 70 so that you have same as cash for the 30%, and it gives you time to get that tax credit. Would they be able to do that?
I think so, but that would really be up to the individual lender that they're working with. So
Oh, okay, so.
No.
with
we
your-
don't have, there's nothing restricting the program guidelines about that.
But you're not, even if it passes through the county, does the individual builder or owner, property owner, have the right to find their own lender.
Yeah.
So they can use any lender.
You can use, that's one of the key things in Pennsylvania is there's an open market for
So this
lending.
isn't just you,
No,
lending, you are the program manager.
We're just offering to program manage it.
Right.
Vet the projects, evaluate the applications, bring to you projects that meet the guidelines you've approved, and then facilitate the remittance of payment back to the lender. So,
Can we negotiate that the county would get SREC credits?
why would you need escrow? Oh.
To buy them up for revenue.
Well, here's the other thing, the more restrictions we put on the program, the less we're gonna find people using it. And that's the other thing with us being a nonprofit, we're kind of committed to having a very, so we can reimburse the county for administrative fees, the program administrator can take a little, can take some administrative fee off of the loan payment, but because we're a nonprofit who just wants to see sustainable energy, we're committed to a very low rate on that. And we don't want to do anything that's going to limit the number of projects you have. Quite the opposite.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, sure, yeah.
I'll sit down.
Yeah, I have some too, but,
I was waiting, I was very patient.
I don't even know my
It says meet clean energy or water conservation targets. That's in the third stage. So if a person gets to that stage, what happens if they don't meet the targets?
Well, those are spelled out in the program guidelines, and so the administrator would work with the property owner and the project developer to kind of figure out how far off are they, and if there's something more they can do, or if it just doesn't meet.
So, and if you could end that program without any injury to the owner or the program?
Well, they probably have some engineering costs, so we would want to continue to work with them.
Something?
Yeah.
Because it says here, if I remember correctly, there's no costs. It requires no credit exposure or general obligation comes from local government.
Correct.
But there are some costs that would be incurred should that,
By the property
by
owner.
the property owners.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
are they-
There may be, right? If they're working with an engineering firm.
And also, the age of the properties, are they, is that coming into play?
Only insofar as the age of their equipment. So, but no, we're not. It's not currently. The guidelines don't restrict on how old the building is.
Yeah. So that if let's say there's a home that's owned by someone who paid off their loan, they don't owe any money, they want to apply for this. Is that going to be like a direct payment to the
This isn't residential, though.
well,
It's commercial.
commercial, I'm not meant commercial, but
Right.
it's their own business, how's that? It's a direct payment, it's not involved with the banks.
If they take a loan out for a CPACE project,
Sure.
yeah, then they'd make the payment to the county on their county tax bill,
county.
and it goes back to whoever their lender was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Some of the leases are conservative, and how do you judge who gets this, and other parameters?
Well, the parameters are really about whether the improvement to the building or the new construction of the building meets an energy efficiency or water conservation standard.
So that goes back to those targets.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, it doesn't meet the targets, but there's something that's not right, that the
Right.
costs are only involved in the engineering services.
Right, yeah, we'd know that up front. No, go ahead. Just say who you are, though.
I have no idea who you are, so just.
Hello, my name is Julian Boggs. I'm the policy director at the Keystone Energy Efficiency Alliance. We work to pass commercial legislation through the legislature and have did an evaluation of CPACE programs across the country to see what was successful and partnered with the Sustainable Energy Fund to help develop the CPACE program here and promote it across the state, because we strongly believe that the path that the SEF has pursued to engage stakeholders from state agencies to associations like the County Commissioners Association, the private sector and the nonprofit sector, to develop a standard set of guidelines across jurisdictions across the state is the right one. I just wanted to clarify on the targets thing, because I'm not sure what that was referring to. There aren't the
Your literature
Sure. There are no a project to qualify for CPACE has to be an energy efficiency or renewable energy project, but there is no like specific. If you're doing a retrofit, you don't have to reduce your energy use by 30% or do this much renewables or anything else like that. For new construction, there is a standard that a project has to meet to make sure that that new project is a new construction project. But there aren't specific requirements for like any energy standard that a property owner would have to meet. If it's a verified energy project that is saving you money, you can finance it through CPACE, through the CPACE program. And I guess one thing I've noticed about the general questions is that I would think about CPACE as it's a loan, and it's a private interaction between a property owner and a private lender that the county is helping to facilitate in order to be able to do it on a long-term basis. So everything that would, all zoning issues, all permitting issues, everything that would apply to any other project that would happen in Northampton County would apply here. So all of those questions that just would normally apply to any construction project would apply to this. What we're solely talking about here is the financing mechanism. How is the capital being provided? It's being provided through the CPACE program, and it's being repaid through an assessment on the property tax bill.
Can I ask him a question?
Sure.
Sorry.
That's all right.
So, but you just stated that the goal of the project is to save money, not necessarily be more efficient. There's no standard for efficiency. The standard for the project is, did you save money? So how is that increasing the sustainability?
Yeah, no, sorry. So in order to qualify for a CPACE project, you need to do a baseline study that shows here's the baseline energy use in our building.
Okay.
Here are the proposed energy projects that we need to do, and then evaluate those over time to prove that those energy is money. You save money on your energy bill, and you don't pay those utilities. So
well, you hope, but the energy cost I guess that's my thing is the energy costs in Pennsylvania are so low that if you have an interest rate that's 10% and 20 years, you're not talking about a whole lot of savings. So the efficiency, I would think that would have to be some sort of standard because you might lose money.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. So some jurisdictions, some states do in their CPACE programs require what is called a savings to investment ratio.
Okay.
And that is a mechanism that requires that the total savings from the project estimated by the independent evaluator, the independent engineer who comes in and evaluate over the cost of the projects exceeds the cost of the project, so that the savings exceed the cost.
So it at least has to meet that.
Sorry?
Okay.
So the legislature, when they passed this bill, decided not to do that. And based on the feedback we got from various CPACE lenders across the country and various jurisdictions that have experience with CPACE, we decided not to do that, make that a requirement for the CPACE program for a couple of reasons. The first one is that property owners have a variety of motivations for making investments in projects, and some of them is just to replace aging equipment. And some equipment, like a new boiler in a commercial industry, is incredibly expensive. And so replacing that equipment with new energy-saving equipment might not pay out, but there are other benefits to having a new boiler. And so by not restricting projects that don't sort of meet that, and allowing the marketplace, the private sector owner to make that decision about what they want to invest in, we thought that was the best course. But some jurisdictions do require that savings to investment ratio, and it is something, frankly, that we discussed with some of the state legislators when they were looking at the issue. But we didn't want to restrict we wanted property owners to make that decision. And then, as Holly pointed out, there's a few quality controls in there. So lenders are going to want to lend on projects that are going to deliver savings because they want positive cash flow and they want the past cash flow. In order for a CPACE loan to happen, and this is required by the state law and further emphasized in the CPACE guidelines, any financial institution that has a lien on the property must sign off on the CPACE loan. So any financial institution that has a lien on that property is going to review the project, is going to review the savings, the investment, and must agree to the CPACE loan CPACE lien being placed on the property. So that's yet another sort of guardrail to make sure that the CPACE investment is a sound investment.
So in what other states have this been enacted yet, and what's been the success rate? Because 20 years is a long time. Like, some businesses come and go. They're not even there for 20 years. So if they're taking out a 20-year loan, they're looking at it like...
That's why it's important that it stays with the property.
So you would just transfer that over to another owner, whoever buys the building.
But the energy saving,
And you're just...
the equipment is on the building.
Right, and you're just you're hoping somebody buys that building. Because, I mean, we have empty warehouses and empty industrial buildings. Do you know what I mean?
And actually, Tara, I see this as a really important tool in that problem.
Okay.
So, I mean, I used to do redevelopment at LVDC, and, I know that when you're trying to redevelop a building, especially a 100-year-old building, but even a 40-year-old, 30-year-old warehouse, people don't want to buy assets that aren't efficient. They don't want to buy something that has an old boiler. We don't buy houses with old furnaces. And so this is another tool for property owners to add value to their property and kind of help those redevelopment projects that are a little harder. It can help those projects as well. So I see that. I see it as another tool for redevelopment and reinvestment, because I'm kind of from the economic development, redevelopment world.
But that's a good point. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, sure.
And this may be more for our folks. So just so I understand this, we passed a resolution, but before we vote on it, we have to let all the municipalities know that we are going to vote on this. I mean, I'm reading your literature, and it says that all municipalities within jurisdiction, which would be the county, must be notified that they are now going to be in this CPACE before the vote.
Yep.
Well, we don't know what the vote's going to be. I mean, we may say, no, we don't want to, after further review, we're not going to approve this.
Right. If you feel like you're going to move to vote on it, then I would send the notification letter out. But
so how are you going to, I mean, this goes to our people. How are you going to engineer that if in fact, this comes to a point where we say, okay, we're going to put a resolution forward? Because, I mean, honestly, I don't even know how all the people are going to vote on anything when I think we're going to all be unanimous sometimes.
Well, we just have to notify them. So we have a form letter that we have ready to go.
We just let them know there's going to be a vote on a given night
and this is
on this.
Similar to an ordinance.
Oh, okay.
We advertise it anyway.
You're bound to pass it just because they have notice.
Oh, all right, I understand now. So just we just have to notify them that this is on our agenda, okay, and that they can come and, just like any meeting, give comments. Our part of this, it sounds like very much like pass-throughs we've done. Is your part to be, meaning our economic development part, you're going to manage this or as managing the money coming in, going out?
The most.
I just want to know what our involvement is other than we give a blessing, just like we do with higher education.
This
and
would
whatnot.
be a flyer that we give out to property owners that says this is a program, if you're thinking about making energy improvements to your building, you may want to explore this for financing.
So are we in any way a point of contact?
We could, when we have interactions with businesses and commercial properties, we would certainly let them know about it. But
other than that, we're not in that.
Marketing the program.
All right.
No, we would connect them to the program administrator, which would be the Sustainable Energy Fund, to do all the paperwork.
Thank you. That's Mark. Thank you. I just want to.
Wouldn't the state actually be promoting the project? You think once it gets,
Just to clarify, the county will collect the payment.
Yeah, all right. So
That will come in
Okay,
through
tax bills?
the tax
We
bill.
are going to have to account for that'll work.
Yes.
That'll be more work. I guess, yeah, thank you.
But we get paid
Mr.
for
County
that.
Executive, you were on council. I guess
Yeah.
what we're doing is, I have no problem with the program, but I like to know the nuts and bolts because of budget issues and whatnot. So there is going to be a cost for us in labor.
Which we
Your
will
labor.
get reimbursed for.
Administrative fees.
Well,
yeah.
we can, and you feel that those administrative fees will be sufficient to
We-
cover what you're doing?
It's,
It's not just cost, it's time.
We may want to, you may want to direct that question, because it's an excellent question, to Mr. Barrett.
Where's he?
You can talk to, he'll be here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he'll be here. I think that's a good question.
All right. No,
I don't think that there'll be so many participants that
Yeah, I don't
it
either.
will materially affect our ability to do our jobs.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be plenty of money to reimburse us for the administrative
Okay.
costs that we incur. I mean, I hope it goes crazy busy, but.
But you understood where
I
I'm.
do, sir.
All right.
Make sure you
Yeah,
have a
that's all.
better answer than I have for you right now.
I mean, and it's nothing, we've done things like this, but I just wanted to get a sense of where our,
There is more work for us.
thank you. Okay.
We're gonna try and make it easy.
Right. Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, okay? Any thought about the fact that there are more warehouses coming in? This is a growing area, that this was implemented?
I mean, it's a statewide initiative, it's been done in other states, but I do think that a lot of the buildings, a lot of the warehouses that get built here are built by a developer and then sold to the user, right? And the developer's not gonna put an extra cost on the project that they're not gonna get paid for. With this, what you could do as a developer, yeah, you could put put the extra asset on, whether it's an energy efficiency, windows, or whatever, and then when you sell the building, the payment for that extra piece stays with the property. And so the property owner takes on the cost of that loan, and the improvement or the asset outlives the loan. The benefit, is longer and greater than the loan payment. So it could incentivize a little more.
But you
smart
always have to have a
warehouses.
buyer.
As a
It could.
corollary to Mr. Heckman's question earlier, who's responsible for the marketing of the program? Is it us?
No.
Okay.
I mean, we'll give you all the marketing materials, we have a website, and everything like
How
that.
will people
but-
know?
But you guys can,
Yep.
yeah,
All right.
yep.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. We give money to it. Okay.
And actually, I met with their business retention person, because this is a really great tool for existing businesses.
Yeah, it's a lot of, we invested for programs.
I just have a question. I read through the draft, the state draft, right? And I guess there's a meeting in about a week or two to finalize. Is that right?
The guidelines,
Yeah,
there is not a meeting planned.
a hearing. Is there anything, something coming up? Because it's just a draft. I mean, they still have to.
We're gonna, later this month, we're presenting at the County Commissioners Association Spring Conference.
Okay.
I don't know
We're
if
gonna be
that's
there.
maybe
Yeah.
what you saw.
Okay.
We're gonna be speaking there about the program, and then those draft guidelines are done. We weren't planning like a big,
So there's not much more they're going to, well, my question is there more that they're going to do yet to the information before they say, okay, counties, now you can adopt it, or you can vote on it? I mean, what am I missing yet? Is there still more sausage making yet, or is it done, or?
No, it's kind of done, and I
Okay.
think each county is gonna have to decide if you wanna make tweaks or not.
So the draft, as what I read, then that's where we're at with it.
I don't know which one you read.
Okay.
The last time I
How
put it out
many
on our-
versions are there?
Well, the last time I put it out on our website was at the end of December, and then we pulled it off. I thought we pulled it off of our website at the end of January.
Okay. Could you get us the latest draft?
Yep.
That'd be nice to look at, because that's pretty much what we're going to roll out then.
Yeah.
What is going to be rolled out to all the counties?
Yeah.
And I guess we'll get one in the CCAP thing in the
Yeah.
spring. Okay. All right. The other thing was, how were the other states? You guys said you did a little study on all the other states. So when you initiated it, like, was it 5 years ago? I mean, when was the first one? And then how?
Let Julian come back up for that.
Because I'm thinking it like people like it started, and then people started getting the word out, and then it started growing, and
Yeah, and that's absolutely what happened. So CPACE first started being used 2008, 2009. I actually used to work in Ohio. I was in Columbus. Ohio passed its program, enabled its legislation in 2010. But when this program started, because of the legal authorities involved, because people were just learning how to do CPACE lending as well. There wasn't an established private equity market to provide the capital. It took a little while to get going. In 2014, there was a real inflection point where the state of Connecticut really figured out how to do CPACE, and they did two things that Holly mentioned earlier that we thought were really important. They had standard guidelines that every county in Connecticut used, so that they were the same for contractors, lenders, property owners. And then they had an open market that anybody could lend on it. And the administrator and the lender wasn't vertically integrated. You had somebody administering the program, so that's the Connecticut Green Bank in Connecticut, but SEF here, and then they're not lending on the program. They're just administering it, and anybody you want, local bank, national bank, private lenders, whoever is lending on the program. And then it really scaled. So if you then it was maybe $50 million in CPACE. As Holly mentioned, it's nearing $1 billion now. Neighboring Ohio, I mentioned, they passed the legislation in 2010. Took a while to get going. I believe 2017 they were at they had put $80 million out the door over the course of those 5 years that they had it going. Last year, they did $80 million in CPACE
so it's
projects.
a lot of jobs and a lot of energy saved.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's escalating as there's more private capital figuring out that this is a good place to put money into, right? Because energy improvements pay back, and as more property owners and regional banks and other banks are. I think Pennsylvania came into this as a really good time where we could learn from other states what they do. We're not going to hopefully have that long rollout process, but the market is just turning up now.
And one last thing, the qualifications for the assessors, for the energy assessment folks. Is there any guidelines in that for the latest current Pennsylvania draft?
Yeah, we
kind of along the
energy
lines of
survey
some of the
stuff.
questions that were asked today,
Yeah, there's some parameters in there about what kind of energy survey we would accept, and what needs to be in there, and whether there needs to be an engineer involved, a certified engineer, and what kind of we even have some qualifications for what kind of contractors do the work. So,
Okay.
Do they have to be LEED certified?
I think that may be one of the options, but it's not the only.
That's not the only.
one of the options for new construction.
Oh, for but for the energy survey, no. It's an ASHRAE standard.
Okay.
So I guess another question, the last question, hopefully, is from me, is when is the target date that it's like, okay, you guys can roll with it now,
Okay.
next month, after CCAP?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that's up to you at this point. Our guidelines and everything are in final legal review, and so. We
But there
can
are
have-
lenders?
We're calling it CPACE in a box. It's like all the legal documents and the program guidelines that you'll need, and so I would say by the 15th should be ready to go with that.
For any
Of
county?
April?
For
in the
any
state.
county, yeah, and Lehigh County, as well as Dauphin and Berks, and
That's going to be a heavy lift.
we're talking to Center County, and we're talking to
Well, Center County
Union
has that big, yeah.
and then Montgomery and Chester as well.
So do you have-
we have about 10 counties that are moving forward right now.
Did any of
It
them
is
pass a
going through this
resolution yet?
process.
Did any of them pass a?
No,
Not yet?
not yet.
Okay.
But
Yes.
But do you have lenders lined up?
yeah, so
You do?
there's this whole network of lenders out there that like to loan in this space, which I didn't know existed until I started working in the energy stuff about a year ago. And so there's actually a national conference next month, the PACE Summit.
Oh, nice. Okay.
PACE Nation, which is kind of an association of lenders. And, yeah, who knew?
So if this comes out March 15th and we unrolled this, or we had a resolution, we informed all the municipalities, we got a resolution in April, you'd be able to lend right away. May. Okay.
I wish I had someone, I wish I had a project already. B. Braun has called us about it in Lehigh County. I haven't heard from anybody in your county yet.
So people already know about this. They've gotten a whiff of it. And
yeah, because I think a lot of big facilities are always looking at doing energy upgrades because it lowers their bottom line. And so, a big user like B. Braun is.
Or like Amazon, that big, huge warehouse.
Yeah.
Just say one thing about the lenders and just from, because we've been working on this issue for almost 3 years now just to get the legislation through. Pennsylvania is a huge market, right? We're like the third largest electricity market in the country.
Sure.
So the national CPACE lenders and everywhere around us has a CPACE program. So so the lenders came to us and said, can we get a bill done in Pennsylvania? And we worked with them and the national electrical contractors to get a bill done in Pennsylvania. And they certainly consulted with SEF on the development of the guidelines. So I'd say lenders are chomping at the bit. It'll be the issue of identifying property owners that are ready to go with projects, but the lenders also, are going out there and identifying projects and talking.
So what's the least amount of money that you could lend to somebody? Let's say you have like a commercial business that's, they want to put like $100,000 of solar on their roof.
The current guidelines, the minimum is $10,000.
$10,000.
It's a lot of paperwork for $10,000.
Yeah, it is.
But
I think the median is $250. Ohio just did a CPACE project that was the biggest CPACE project at $10 million. I think the sweet spot is going to be, I would say, between $150 and a couple million.
So you could do a solar farm if you wanted to, just.
Yeah, depending on who the large scale projects, the utility scale projects, they're going to generally have different sorts of capital needs and capital requirements.
Right.
And, and then somebody like Amazon, right? They just have their own money.
You would think. I think Jeff Bezos could just pay that right out of pocket if he wanted to, right?
Yeah. So. We're looking at a specific market that can go up to 10 million, but it's generally in the.
So the threshold is 10,000 to 10 million. That's
no cap.
Yeah.
There's no cap. No 10 million, not a cap.
No, it just
That's just the highest project.
One.
Okay, that's just the biggest project yet.
Okay.
Wow.
Ron, Mr. Heckman, did you have a question for Mr. Barron as far as the administrative, or do you want to get with him later on that?
I don't remember.
It was just about the county doing the administration for this stuff.
No, I think that actually, to be honest, I think between Mr. Hartney and Mr. McClure,
Okay.
I understand.
Okay.
So I appreciate you being here, but it wasn't a big money question. You're the big guns when it comes to money. So
have money, will accept.
yeah, no. This is one where I don't need the Norco money man to. I appreciate your showing up, though. I think we're okay.
Thank you very much, Ms. Edinger.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Okay.
So, really quickly, because I know we want to take a break before council, Mark's passing out. I wanted everybody to be aware of our 2019 grant schedule calendar. So you can take a look at those. Let us know if you have any questions. All of our programs for 2019 are listed there with the open, close dates, and the grant specialist contact information. So if you are part of one of our grant review committees will be in touch shortly as we start to set those review times on our calendars as well. And then you're also receiving just a PowerPoint presentation that the county executive asked us to share with council. We worked on this to share with him. It's a little bit of an overview. If you're not quite sure of what we do all day, this is a good piece to look, just highlighting some of the report that you can see. We basically distributed an estimated $4.9 million in grants awarded in 2018 through our various programs. We are looking or hoping for a potential of almost $2 million on potential funding, federal funding coming through, 3 applications that we've submitted for this year. We are out in the community on a literal daily basis, between 2 or 3 of us within the Department of 6, representing the county on 14 different boards and commissions throughout the county. We assisted in creating the Ben Partnership Program through our relationship with the cities of Easton and Bethlehem that awarded us $1.5 million for the lead abatement program. We're, as you know, currently in the process of the blight strategy and the historic preservation plans. You heard from our blight strategy folks at last month's meeting. We're looking to bring in our consultants to talk more about the historic preservation plans at April's meeting. We also did the passing of the 3 county LERDAs in 2018, including Upper Mount Bethel, Easton, and Southside Bethlehem. And we're, again, trying to engage our municipalities in 2 cities within the county more than any other administration. And we've been successful for 2018 in kicking off our grant workshops, which we just completed 4 in a series, 2 in the morning hours and 2 in the evening hours. And those were spread around to different municipalities within the county. We had an average of 50 people per session, so we got to interact with about 200 folks from our different nonprofit facilities and municipalities. Really positive feedback regarding those. We're also doing, for the second time, a overall grant seminar, which we did for the first time last year at the Human Services Building. We sold out. We ran out of room. Obviously, we didn't charge for it, but that will assist our nonprofits and municipalities with not just seeking county funding, but also state and federal funding, tips on how to write better grant applications. So just overall health and help for them when they do the grant writing processes. And then last but not least, we created the Small Business Assistance Series. We have 2 that exist for businesses that are already in place to help them sustain and expand what they're currently doing, and also a separate series for the businesses who want to start up. So we bring in all of our resource partners to those, and it's an informational and also networking opportunity. So again, we just wanted to kind of give a little bit of an overview of how busy we were in 2018, and definitely have been running at fast pace thus far in 2019, bringing back a lot of these successful programs. So I don't know if anybody has specific questions.
Hi.
Question, just on the grants. Just so this year there's no confusion. When do you need council to tell you, you want 2 people from council? When do you need us to tell you who will be on it?
If you have recommendations, I know we've worked direct with the county executive to pick those review committees.
County executive doesn't control who on council will be working with you. Council
Yeah.
controls that.
We usually will start the planning process.
Right, so right now, there's nobody
about
from
now.
county council on.
All we have is the people who served in 2018.
Well, who are the?
Lori
Ms. Hefner and
was
who?
on, obviously Mr. McGee,
Right.
and I believe Mr. Kraft was also
Right, so at the very least, you need one. Well, the reason I'm bringing this up is, not to belabor a point, but council, as a separate branch of government, has certain responsibilities and rights, and I have no problem if people who are on want to stay on, but that is a council decision from year to year to year, just like committees. So it's really not up to the executive branch to pick 2 council people or 3 council people. It's up to the county council to do that. As president of council, I'll even say, for future reference, it's up to whoever the president is, because I might have had Ms. Zirinsky say, hey, I want to be on that, or I might have Mr. Werner say, I want to be on that. So, we don't know. So I think before you just automatically do it, whether it's the executive saying put these people on or you getting along with them or doing it, we really have to make that decision here on council. So I'm just saying going forward, whenever there's an issue where you need council involvement, that's a decision council has to make, not anybody else.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
All right.
No,
That's all.
No, we will.
Because then you need to know pretty soon, because one
Right.
of these already started February
What-
6th, so I guess you're already getting things.
We haven't really gotten any of
Okay.
those grant applications yet for CDBG.
All right. I just want us to be able to work with you
Yeah, the
smoothly.
review committees where we'll need your guidance on who you'd like to serve will be specifically hotel tax grant and the SIP.
And you'd like 3 people?
However many we usually have 5 or 6
In the
collectively.
past, we've done up to 2 council members on the committee.
Up to
Each
2.
committee.
Up to 2.
Oh, you mean on all?
No.
Just on the
for
2.
And SIP.
Yeah.
Okay.
I remember this. This is the whole thing that Lori did with the big list of
Correct.
the steeple.
Yeah, well, I came on new last year. This is a whole new thing for me. It might have been for others, because this is what we used to constantly do through council, and it's been offloaded. And I'm not saying that's not a bad idea, and you folks do it with council input. But
And they may have checked with President Kraft last year. I don't know. I don't have
Oh, yeah,
that
'cause
answer.
Ken was still president.
Ken was,
no, but
right.
Well, yeah, all right. But
I
each year-
don't know that answer.
Beginning of the new year's, we're gonna have new council people on next year, so that'll
Right.
be a whole new year
Right,
too.
Right.
So, I wouldn't make a decision in 19 that's gonna affect 20 until 20 hits. So, I don't wanna get persnickety, I really don't. Council, over the years, has at times had to fight to ensure that council is part, a co-equal branch of government. And that's going to happen, whether it's a mayor and council, and especially in a home rule county council, because executive branch has a lot of power. I don't know what the charter says, but the executive reigns a lot, just like a mayor reigns with a lot of power. We can be called the highest elected officials in the county, but you've been around a while, you know who the highest elected officials are. So the thing is, I'm just saying, going forward, just as a courtesy and as a policy, that if you need somebody from the county council, just send us a memo.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yep.
Clarify away.
Mr. Chair, can I ask a clarifying question?
I know.
Please,
Thank you.
please. The floor's open.
So I think you half answered one. It's only 2 of the committees need reviewers. And what are the potential dates of the actual review process? Because these are the dates that the acceptance is open, correct?
Right.
This is the submission open
Right.
and closed, correct?
Right, so,
We haven't even
You're not
gotten
there.
close to putting that schedule together. Our goal in getting this out to you and to nonprofits and municipalities is to just get them aware of this is the proposed grant schedule for this year, and start thinking about what kind of projects you want to submit. Some of the guidelines haven't even been finalized for this year.
Wow.
So we're a ways away from that. This information is for you to let your constituents know that these are the anticipated grant timelines, when the programs will be open, when we'll be accepting applications.
and as we get to schedule them, obviously with whomever you delegate to each of those committees, we'll work internally to make sure that everybody can be at the table for those.
Good point. Oh, good.
I got nothing.
I'd just like to say I've been watching all year long. I think the Economic Development Committee is working. They're working very hard for the county's best interest. They're very busy. They're always going. I know there's a lot of. I get to hear about some of the meetings that they're at, and they're at a lot of meetings all the time. So we appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me be clear. I appreciate what you do too.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's hard when it comes to economic development. This goes back to when we used to have the old Northampton County Development Corporation, NCDC, which I know you guys probably don't even know about that. But the thing was, whenever jobs were created, I had to laugh because there'd always be 4 or 5 different groups and agencies who'd claim that they created the jobs. And I used to say, is the business owner actually going to come in and take some credit? So, I mean, I know sometimes you get overshadowed by big personalities out there who run some of these development corporations and chambers who all say, we brought in the jobs, we brought in the jobs. I understand what you guys are doing, and all I'm talking about is just some working mechanics. But you guys are doing a very good job, and especially in the community development area. I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
And as far as the C pace, I do plan on supporting that. I'd really like. I think it'd be a great thing for the county to get some jobs going and to save some energy. But
Great.
Just one thing, let's go out on a limb here. This is the first time that we have ever, as a council, we see a calendar of events and layout like this, which is greatly appreciated. I don't think
We might have had something a little bit last year, but we definitely made more of an effort to get this out really
far more
early.
comprehensive. How's that? So
Thank you.
It's appreciated. Just so you know, I'm not against that CPAC program. I just want some clarification on what they're doing,
Sure.
how they're going to do it. Because as a private equity vehicle, that's what that is. It's just a private equity vehicle that they're going to use to generate income. Some kind of income.
Right.
Because it's a nonprofit. It's also interesting to see how they do that.
We'll keep you posted as we get the info. Absolutely. Other questions?
any other
No.
questions? No. That wrap it up?
That's it?
Okay.
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Hey, thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
That's very funny.
I think the lenders are going to work with that.